Hi.
Hi.
I'm Nick.
I'm Jill.
And we're HipStrings. And we're playing around a little bit right at the beginning. Welcome to day 2 of the Base12 Spinalong for 2023. Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
I think we forgot last night to say what we were wearing as far as hand knits.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So what we were wearing last night, if I can remember, you were wearing a brownstone by Jared Flood in hand-spun Rambouillet.
Yep, which you spun.
Which I spun.
And you knit.
And I knit. And, oh gosh, what was I wearing? Oh, I was wearing a Crazy Heart by Tanis Lavalley in Bowie DK.
And this
HipStrings
is
Bowie DK.
Crazy
and
Heart.
a Ricky hat, and I don't know what yarn. And what we're wearing tonight, you're wearing a Strange Brew sweater with a custom yoke in HipStrings Polish DK.
Can you tell the nerdiness?
I'm wearing a Carbeth by Kate Davies in Bowie DK. Yeah. And I'm wearing a skirt, a lane splitter skirt that is some Cormo with hand spun.
Which you could just barely see.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So let's get to it. I gotta roll my dice.
I gotta find my bag. So day 2.
I've got to dig for this one. This always happens because I'm doing random. Like, you guys never get to know what I'm spinning early on. Because it's never the days.
So we have nice vibrant yellow. This colorway is called Golden Berry because we are fond of golden berries. They're also known as ground cherries.
But that doesn't have anything to do with Chile.
Yeah, it does. It's a plant that's native to Peru and Chile.
Really? And by the way, we totally had this conversation right before the podcast. And I was like, we need to repeat this conversation for the podcast. So yeah, I actually didn't know.
You didn't know. You love them.
That ground cherries are some of my favorite fruits. And I'll have to tell you a story about a dessert that I do with them. But let's say hi to everybody and look at the comments. Donna says, happy spinning tonight. Already rolled the die. They're spinning number 4, pretty pink. The color gods were in their favor. Ashley says, and they were amazing. Oh, the sweaters.
The sweaters.
And your sweaters are amazing tonight too. The skirt is beautiful. Kayla says hi. Hello. Amy rolled an 8. Emily says she loves your skirt. And Jean says the yellow is fantastic and that they're joining from Wisconsin.
Nice. We have a couple of Wisconsinites tonight.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the fiber first?
I'm going to talk the fiber because this is something new. I've actually not spun this yet. It is an 80% Rambouillet wool with 20% Tussa silk. It is called climate beneficial Rambouillet, which basically means that the way that the sheep are raised and everything, like I think they're net below 0 carbon.
Oh, neat.
Because sheep are actually really good because of how they digest grass and then turn it into wool. It is actually a product that is like a carbon sink. So it's climate beneficial to wear wool.
Excellent. Good.
So
the other thing that I don't want to stop spinning, but I do want to show this, and we did mention this yesterday. So we talked about using control card to ensure that you're continuing to spin in a consistent manner. So this is one of the control cards that we make.
You can't buy this one.
This specific one you can't buy, but you can make the same design. This material you can't buy. This is what we should say. But it is the style, the design you can make, or you can buy. And I'm just making sure that I can see what we're seeing live rather than the delay from the stream. Okay, sorry. So the way that it works is this notch here is a 2-inch gap. And when you have any yarn, you also see the wraps per inch or the WPI. That literally means how many wraps of that yarn you get in 1 inch. When you're dealing with a very thick yarn, you want more inches to wrap around, so you can kind of average out the numbers. So that's why we have 2 inches on this. But we also have a shortcut where the lines that are notched into this give you the number of wraps per inch in that hole, or in the number that's there. What? Yes,
it's an approximation.
It's an approximation, right? So you're going to be plus or minus 5 wraps per inch.
Less than that, plus or minus 2.
Okay.
Depending on your number.
Depending on how accurate you look at it, and how picky you are, and how consistent you are, whether or not you're measuring a halo or not measuring a halo. But regardless, the easy thing to do is, as you're spinning, you go and you line it up along
with a little bit of tension.
With a little bit of tension,
but not a ton.
And you line it up along the line, and you say, okay, well, yeah, I'm spinning between 22 and 24 wraps per inch, and then that way, as you go along and you're spinning, you can measure at periodic times. And I'll let you talk about when you might want to measure once we start.
Yeah.
When do we start spinning?
Are we going to start spinning?
Yeah.
Oh, I was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you were going to say one other thing. That's right.
Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit. Because, so last night a bunch of people commented on how fast we got through our day spinning. We have a little bit of practice of this, and we are competitive. We've also picked up some tricks for speeding up your spinning. One is splitting lengthwise. Yes, lengthwise. And the main reason to do this is you're actually opening up your fiber and introducing more air, which makes it easier to draft. Because if there's more air in your fiber supply, twist can't travel as quickly through your fiber supply. So you're not going to get twists. When you have trouble drafting, it's usually because a little bit of twist has gotten into your fiber supply.
Yeah. And
it's doing its own thing and making fiber make friends with each other when you don't want it to be friends yet.
And I really like it because, especially as you get further along, in the first little bit, you're spinning the little bit that you want, but then it starts going off to the side and you start bunching up, and then there's some stuff you're not spinning. When you split it lengthwise ahead of time, that doesn't happen, right? So I had only ever split it up twice before.
Yeah, I did it 4 times last.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to experiment with that.
Another trick for introducing more air into your fiber is to use one of our Diz. So this is just a plain one. This is also, you can't buy this exact one online, but you can buy a similar one. That
particular type of plastic, but you can buy that shape
and design.
And with other
the ones that we sell
on
have designs etched onto them. This one doesn't. And this is why I sell threaders.
So you have some threaders here.
Oh, I'm just going to be stubborn. Ha.
The moment I get the threader out. We'll talk about
So this
those
pulls
later.
through pretty easily.
So what you're doing, you got to explain what you're doing. You put it, okay.
So I put it in the medium-sized hole.
There are 3 holes.
Yes.
Like the lights.
Yes.
And you put them through the progressively shrinking holes. You put it through the largest hole, and as it's going through, you'll see what Jill's doing now.
It doesn't move easily, so
you kind of have to
pull
draft
back to get it through. And this is why I don't pre-draft, except with the use of a Diz, because the Diz helps me do a better job with this.
Keep it all together and everything. So yeah, this allows you to pre-draft, and if I remember correctly, this is called pencil roving?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, I'm wrong.
This is top, because it's combed.
Okay.
Roving is carded.
But where does it become pencil?
It's just a general thickness.
Okay. All right, so ignore what I said there. You'll find I often give incorrect information, Jill corrects me, but that's how we learn. Okay.
So, but you can tell.
I'll hold up the other one that hasn't been pre-drafted.
This looks a little bit neater. Colors are going to be a little bit more blended if you pre-draft. It's a semi-solid, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Can we start spinning now?
Now we can start spinning.
Okay.
But like doing a little bit of prep can often make your actual spinning go faster.
All right. So the other thing that I want to comment in terms of like spinning along with us, this is we're here to keep you company, but do not imagine that it's a requirement to race us or to do the same.
Yeah,
spinning
I'm
as us.
spinning at like 18 wraps per inch, which is thicker than I normally do. But this flyer has a little bit higher take up than I'm used to, so I'm spinning thicker.
And we've had people that have watched in previous years that they will split the yarn like we showed, but then only spin half an ounce a day.
Yeah,
and make
I
it
know
go
somebody
for
who
24
started
days.
at the beginning of the month because they knew it would take them longer.
So do what's good for you, that's...
But it's just half an ounce a day because it's a reasonable amount to do instead of like an ounce a day. An ounce a day would be a big commitment.
Oh, and these are half an ounce, or are these ounce?
Yes, these are half ounce.
Okay. All right. So, ground cherries.
Yes. What's your favorite way to have ground cherries?
My favorite way to have ground cherries. I have to rewind a little bit. Back when I was, I don't know, in my single digits, early teens, tweens, something like that, my grandmother introduced me to a dessert that I had no idea what it was. But it was made with sheets of meringue with whipped cream in between. So you're talking about like a sheet of meringue, which is the, crunchy egg white cooked thing, foamy thing. So it tastes like sweet styrofoam in some way, or more like the astronaut ice cream type thing, right? Then a layer of whipped cream, then another layer of meringue, whipped cream, meringue, whipped cream, and then the type that my grandmother had made or got, I don't know if she ever made or got it, but was with raspberries. And I loved it. And never knew what it was, never knew what it was called. Fast forward like 30 some odd years, and I'm in a business trip in China, going to a French restaurant in China, and they had a dessert there called pavlova, which was exactly what my grandmother had given me. But they didn't use just raspberries. They had all sorts of tart fruits. So it's very hard to find sheets of meringue in the U.S., but it is very easy to find little meringues, especially like at Trader Joe's or something. So what I usually do when I'm feeling particularly lazy but want to have ground cherries in a dessert is I will make up some whipped cream, because I'm lazy but not that lazy. I'll make up some whipped cream, grab a bunch of meringues, crush them up a little bit, and put those in a bowl with some ground cherries and eat that together. And the tart nature of the ground cherries will mix wonderfully with the whipped cream and the meringues with a little bit of extra crunch. It's fantastic. So that is my story of eating a Russian dessert that I learned about in China in a French restaurant that was a Chilean memory that I eat in the U.S. So yeah, that's the story behind the ground cherries colorway. What's your favorite way to eat ground cherries? The
that way.
I didn't want to assume. The kids don't like them with ground cherries, though.
No.
So we just have to have
the ground cherries are a bit tart.
raspberries or blackberries to go along with them.
It is very good with blackberries.
Yeah, it is. All right. So, what else?
So I started up a conversation on Threads today.
Oh, that's right. That was one of the things.
So I don't know who's on Threads. My Threads media is quite different than what I post elsewhere. It is much more. Threads feels much more like 90s, old school, like talking on the internet on LiveJournal.
Which that's a compliment, Meta. Don't take that as an insult.
This elder millennial thanks you. And so, this was prompted by an interaction and some of my frustration I have with some of the spinning groups on Facebook. That I really wish, as a community, we could really stop when we talk about spinning fibers. Stop describing them as being associating a level of difficulty inherent with a particular fiber that is based on our personal experience with that fiber. And because I am really sick of hearing things like cotton is hard, superwash wools are terrible to spin.
Somebody called them squeaky.
Don't get somebody called them squeaky. Merino wool isn't suitable for beginners. Like these kind of things that just get passed on. And
hand-dyed wool is terrible. I've heard that one before too. Yeah. Well, because it's always a little bit felted. Heavy sarcasm in that, right? There's a lot of good reasons for this.
Like it's based on people's experiences, but there's this like jump to this experience is universal and applies to everything in the category.
Well, so let's address some of those things directly because we've got a lot of time and we can, in fact,
and we have opinions,
and we have a captive audience. And we did have a comment, by the way. Emily does say that the dessert sounds yummy. They've never had ground cherries, but see them at the farmers market and we'll have to give them a try. So I made I have introduced one new person at least to try them out. So I'm gonna start with the whole cotton thing.
Yeah.
Because cotton was the first fiber I spun, and everybody loves to say cotton's so hard.
And cotton's the fiber that made spinning click for me.
And I realized today probably the best analogy that I could give to this is like saying, yeah, cutting a crusty bread with a butter knife is hard. If you cut it with a serrated bread knife, not so bad. And that's exactly like what spinning cotton is. Spinning cotton is difficult if you're not using the right tool. But if you are using the right tool, or using your tool in the right way, and
you're not expecting it to act like wool.
Yeah. Then you're going to have a much better time with it. So what? Let's do you have anything else to add to that one?
No.
Okay. Do you wanna pick another one of those?
Well, like
misconceptions.
Superwash wools.
There you go. Go for it.
Yeah, there are some superwash wools that have like absolutely no life in them left, and can be tough to spin because there is no crimp in the fiber, which is something that plays a big role in how we draft wool. And to have crimp taken out of the equation really changes things
Don't go too far off on a different soapbox.
I'm not. But there are really lovely superwash wools out there that do spin like wool. There's superwash targhee, which it's kind of hard to get a hold of that comb top anymore, but it was lovely while it lasted. Trying to get my hands on more of it. And currently there's a superwash Shiniko, which Shiniko is a Merino Rambouillet cross that's being developed in Western U.S. and it's another like responsible wool, fair trade, all domestic processing. The superwash treatment is a closed loop, environmentally friendly superwash treatment, and it's a really lovely wool to spin.
So that also addresses another one of the common comments about superwash, that it's all bad for the environment. And it doesn't have to be, and that's one of the crazy things that people have these universal statements. In fact, there is a study that I've seen that shows that superwash wool actually degrades faster
in a marine environment without leaving any microplastics.
Yeah, so it's not a universal statement you can make that, you should just avoid all superwash.
Yeah, some people have valid, good reasons for wanting a superwash wool.
Like baby hats.
Gifting people who aren't going to hand wash gifts.
Socks. Like all sorts of different things. By the way, Emily also says that she's totally here for our opinions. It's the favorite part of her chats. And Amy says any poorly prepared fiber is going to be tough for a beginner. That's why
Oh,
folks should
so
shop at HipStrings.
I'm spinning number 2. Nick is not spinning day 2. Nick is spinning some random day.
Yes, which I will let you know what day it is when you get to it. I'm being secretive. So going back to Amy's comment, absolutely, and that actually fits perfectly.
What did Amy say?
That any poorly prepared fiber is going to be tough to spin
Yes.
for a beginner. So that goes very well to the whole comment of that I've heard of hand-dyed wools are just terrible because they're going to be all felted. And honestly, we've seen that directly when we first started spinning and buying stuff from people.
The first hand-dyed I spun was terrible, and it made me think I couldn't spin.
And the first hand-dyed you made wasn't all that great
No, it
either,
wasn't.
Right? And there's a lot of technique that goes into the dyeing and the preparing and the handling. You shouldn't necessarily, what's the word I want to look for? Eliminate a fiber category from your repertoire if from your options just from one experience, which is hard because of the cost, because of the availability. If you spend a bunch of money
and you have a bad time,
you're not going to take that risk again. So we get it. The part of the reason why we do these spin-alongs is to give you that exposure to different fibers that you might try, you might like. But we also encourage things like taking classes, going and...
I teach a fiber speed dating class, which we go through 9 different fiber blends, and you don't know what they are.
Until you try them out.
Until you try them out, and then you try to guess, and we talk about them. And I've yet to make anybody cry because I gave them a fiber that was hard to spin. And there have been some weird blends and things that people think should be hard. There's some weirder ones for this year. So I'll be teaching it at Maryland Sheep and Wool. Registration has not opened yet, but I've got some really cool blends that are not things you usually see from me.
And I've taken a couple of other classes where you go into the class and the teacher will have like a batch of fiber for you to grab and try out. Jillian is well known for her swimming pool of fiber.
Yeah.
A little kiddie pool that you can dive into. There's okay. Okay, so Hollis says, "Oh, Nick has the blue. I'm crazy." Yeah, apparently. I don't have the blue hair. Jill has the blue hair, so that may be confusing too. But there was another thing you had said.
What?
People have said was difficult. So
well, like merino.
Yeah, merino's not for beginners. Why do people say merino's not for beginners?
Because it's short staple and it needs a lot of twists.
Okay.
And also like the most mass market merino that's out there, the cheap stuff, it's not great fiber. It's really been stretched and it has like no crimp left in it. You can steam it to reactivate the crimp. It also, even though it is comb top, commercial comb top is not true comb top. It's not all the same staple length. You can get shortcuts in commercial comb top, and that merino has a ton of shortcuts in it.
Well,
I've actually put it on a hackle and removed all the shortcuts, and then it's a dream to spin. Because shortcuts in your top, because it's a different staple length, make it harder to draft.
And that goes back to Amy's comment about properly prepared fibers. And this is one of the other things. I'm going to sound totally hipster, but it's the name of our business. So the fibers that are popular, that everybody's looking at, and everybody's like, yeah, this is the one you want. The merinos, the cashmeres, the ones that everybody is paying attention to. That's what the big businesses end up just chugging out as quickly and cheaply and easily as possible. and it's not going to be great quality necessarily.
It depends on your sourcing.
You have to make sure you got a good source. And I know,
like, I've spun bad cashmere, I've spun really good cashmere.
This goes,
it's a world of difference.
This goes a little bit into the, doing your homework and prepping yourself and prepping your fiber. But by the way, Emily says that I think she's talking about your class, that she's taken your fiber speed dating class, and it is one of her most favorite classes to date, and she talks about it all the time.
It's a fun class.
It is. I love the idea when you were talking about it. So, do you want to talk about what classes you're teaching at Maryland?
Oh gosh, I remember all of them.
Putting you on the spot.
So I'm teaching fiber speed dating. I'm teaching getting started on a supported spindle. I'm teaching knitting.
Yeah, we make those, don't we?
Yes, we do. I'm teaching knitting with hand spun. What else am I teaching? Because that's not all my days.
Was this one of the ones where there's so many fibers out there? How do I choose?
No, that was I was going to teach a data list, but
okay,
that got canceled. Yeah, I forget what else.
Is it announced anywhere?
It has not been announced yet.
Okay.
I will make an announcement when
it's official.
Yeah. I'm also teaching the Maryland Winterfest, which is a virtual workshops the first weekend of February.
That is announced.
That is announced, and registration is open. I do not know if there are any spots still available, but I am teaching a class on spinning carded fibers and a class on diversity of wools. So for carded fibers, we'll be spinning a couple different carded rovings to show that there's a big difference in carded rovings. Some Rolags, some Punies, and hand carded bats. And then diversity of wools, we'll be going and spinning fine wool, medium wool, long wool, and a down breed. And talking about how those are all different.
So, I know we've got some beginners and some veterans on the chat.
Yes.
I will even say I often, and I demonstrated it earlier, that I often forget the difference between roving and comb top and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over that some?
We'll do some jargon.
Yeah, let's do some jargon.
Okay.
Some definitions.
So, comb top. Combed preparations are pretty simple because there's just top. And the whole idea of combed top is that all the fibers are in parallel to each other. So everything's neatly aligned, and then just like if you've seen combs, they are like giant sharp Wolverine claws, but combs, and the action is like combing hair. And it's to get everything parallel.
This does always terrify me when you're using them.
Yes. Now, carded fibers is an entire different universe of fiber prep. So for carded fibers, the thing that looks kind of like a comb top is what's called roving. Some fibers you find them in a thinner preparation, and that's called sliver. So like cotton will be found as sliver.
And by thinner, you mean like just literally
the thickness
like
of, yeah.
the width of the
yes.
thing.
Yes.
Like this thing
yeah.
is smaller, even it's smaller
yeah.
than this, right?
But it's carded is more of a web of fiber. The fibers can be going in different directions, different angles, overlapping each other. It is a chaotic mess of a fiber preparation. And then you have Rolags, which are little tubes. So you take that kind of web and you roll it up into a tube, and then usually spin from the tip, the side of it. That is usually prepared using hand cards or a blending board. Punies are a tighter version of a Rolag, suited just for short stapled fibers. So you can do like punies with like camel, cashmere, yak, cotton. With Rolags, the diameter of your Rolag should be dependent on the staple length of your fiber. If you roll them too tight, then they won't draft nicely.
And I've always imagined that Rolags ends up being like a pre-made spinning from the fold.
Yes. but more chaotic because spinning from the fold, the fibers are parallel.
Yeah.
And then you have bats, which is a large web of
like
fibers.
What was spun on day one, right?
Like what was spun on day one. That was a bat that had been stripped down into a 2-ounce bat that had been stripped down into 4 pieces, 4 lengths. And the chaos of a bat can totally depend on the type of drum carder it's made on, how you feed the fiber onto the drum, whether or not you start with fleece or if you start with comb top, like.
And I do want to say that what the cards versus combs looks like. When Jill says Wolverine claws, she really means Wolverine claws for combs. They are like the length of my fingers, sharp metal points.
Yes, you make sure you don't impale yourself while you're using them. And they bite.
The combs are like a very, very short, the cards, thank you, are like very, very short bed of nails. Yeah. But they're not super sharp, right?
Right, and they kind of bend.
Yeah.
And they have some flex to them.
Which introduces...
So they're more like a pet brush.
Yeah, exactly like a pet brush. Actually, that's what pet brushes are. And Cornwall Crafter says, good morning.
So with carded fibers, there's a lot more effect of the fiber prep and a lot more subtlety. And different machines will give you different feel to the fiber and how it spins, and it's this wonderful subtlety.
Hence the fact you have a class on
just spinning carders. Yeah.
Leah says the diversity wool class is fun, but there's a wait list.
It's full.
Or it's full, but there's a wait list. There are a few spots left in the spinning carded fibers. Thank you, Leah.
That's what I thought.
Well, now you're advertising the spinning carded fibers class. We'll just stop there to give people the mystery.
Oh yeah, I think there's a lot more to be learned in the spinning carded fibers class than diversity of wools, but
people are going to look at it and be like, "Oh, it's carded fiber. I'm gonna spin the carded fiber. What's the difference?" And now you get a little bit of insight.
About that.
And you'll get handouts and things. You won't just get the stream of consciousness from Jill like you're getting right now.
Yeah, you get a nice class kit, and there will be follow-up notes. There's hand-carded Rolags and bats and from me.
Which the best
hopefully
thing was,
those Rolags will all work out okay.
Jill's like, I want to teach how to spin Rolags. I don't make Rolags. I'm going to learn how to make Rolags to teach how to spin Rolags.
I spent a couple weeks making Rolags for class kits.
Yeah.
And then being like,
that's great.
Sat down, spun one. I'm like, okay.
Cornwall Crafter, the classes that are the classes that Leah had mentioned, they are online?
Yes, they are online through Maryland Sheep and Wool. They have a site about their Winterfest.
Oh my God, you're going so much faster than me.
So it's always a struggle when we're doing bats versus top, because the top is pretty uniformly half an ounce.
Am I doing
the bat? Yes, you're doing a bat.
Okay.
The bats are anywhere from half an ounce to 0.7 ounces. Most of them are in the 0.5 to 0.6 ounce range. But I lean heavy on the bats. I don't want to...
You don't want to skimp.
I don't want to skimp.
It's cool. I'll beat you when you have your bat days.
Well, I did a bat day yesterday.
Oh, shit.
You also took time off to talk about Pavlova.
Yeah. I had to demonstrate the layering. But I still have quite a ways to go. Also, I want to make sure I have my list of notes on what we can talk about.
Well, if you're going to take a little break, I'm going to check, make sure I'm being consistent.
So we talked about... Oh, there's the thing that I need to say at the beginning of every podcast that I always forget to. If you like, or maybe we say it at the end, but I'll say it now because I'm remembering it. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe.
Oh, yes.
And if you want notifications on when these things start, remember to click that bell. Smash that like button.
Yeah. We're terrible
drink
at
your
self-promotion.
Powerade. I don't know. Also, I thought it might be good to mention our Discord.
Yes.
That there is a HipStrings Discord where if you are down with the online chatting, we have, it's not super active, but we're always watching it.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about anything fiber arts related, HipStrings or not, we have channels for just about everything. So where can people get a link for that?
I'm not sure. I should do something about that.
You should do something about that. Put it on your website. So we will make sure to put it on the website, and maybe we'll put it on the...
I provided a link in class handouts.
So take a class. What Jill is saying is you have to pay... No, not really. We'll put a link on the description for this this and future podcasts. I think that'll work out well. And Emily says that she didn't know we had Discord.
You can tell we're millennials because we still refer to it as a podcast.
Yeah, right. Also, Cornwall Crafter says, "Hey Nick, why are pirates called pirates?" Because they are. And Amy says, if you want more, there's a little like heart thing that blocks the part of the text that I'm trying to read. That's why I'm having difficulty. I'm not getting old. I swear to God. If we want more fabric markers than 3 in our kit, what do you recommend?
I mean, honestly, these were, bulk purchases from Amazon. So I think as far as other ones we've tried, because our house is full of craft supplies, as you can imagine. Arteza has really good fabric markers that we've used and have held up to being set and washed.
I mean,
so.
You're probably going to disagree with me greatly here, but we also have children who've had clothing that has been Sharpied for various things.
We did that for a birthday party.
And Sharpie actually holds up really well in the wash. So, yeah, that's something you might have just laying around. Oh God, I'm getting super thin. I'm on my last quarter here.
I mean, I've gotten to the point where I've bought fabric medium, which is something you can buy at art supply stores. So it's this clear stuff that you can mix with acrylic paint to make it into fabric paint that you can set with a heat press, which we have a heat press. That's how the bags get made.
I need to adjust. I can't. I need to get rid of that little heart thing. I'm just gonna click it. Can I click it? No,
it's just your emojis, dear.
Well, I will give myself a heart there because.
No, it still stays.
It just stays there. There you go, Amy. You put a thumbs up, and that moved it up, and now I can read what you said. Amy said that's what I thought.
Spin thicker.
I just like a rainbow of fruit flavors. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can hold up the box of...
So, this is what I bought.
I don't even think it has a brand on it. It's 30 color fabric markers. There you go.
The reviews were good, and they said basically they would last as, long as you needed to be able to color in all your houses.
Well, if you give me my purple back, I'm going to remain with the 3
that
I got because I liked that set. I love how you have the cap in your mouth there. I am going to look up what else I had in my notes. What else did I have in my notes? Here we go. Oh yeah. You want to talk about some new things in the shop?
Oh gosh, there is so much hand-dyed fiber in the shop right now. Because Nick's...
And it's not felted stuff.
It's lovely stuff. Nick's been taking off Fridays to use at PTO.
Well, I've been taking off Fridays on my day
job, so he can
so I
come
can
work for
HipStrings.
me. So he's been coming and catching me up on photography. And so I've been slowly getting things in the listings. So all of the huge amount of hand dyed I did for shows this year is finally making its way up. So there is more hand dyed in the shop right now than there has ever been. And there is still more to come.
And there's a lot of yarn too.
And a lot of yarn.
Yarn doesn't tend to move online. People like to see it in person, but we have a lot of our
and some of our yarn bases
our
are
yarns.
moving to different put-ups, and so the older ones are on sale. So there's quite a number of yarn on sale for like $20 a skein.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing in the shop. And so that's kind of my try to get it all up before the end of the year. And then I'm currently prepping for a spin-along with Sweets Off the Wheel, which is like the most active spinning group on Ravelry. And I'm doing a spin-along for them, and one of the colorways is up there. That's Moonlight.
See, subtle placement, right?
And then there's another one called Toad School Dance, and those will be up hopefully later this week. If you want to
dance?
Toadstool.
Toadstool dance. Okay.
Yes, not Toad School.
I heard Toad School, and I'm like, I could see it. But
now I want to.
Now you want to rename it?
No, it is Toadstool Dance, but now I want to imagine like a Toad School Dance.
Like homecoming or like prom?
I don't know. I wonder what AI would make of it.
Oh, nice. That's the way to do it now.
So, join the Sweets Off the Wheel group on Ravelry and join us for a fun spin-along. Pre-orders are going to go through the beginning of January. Fiber will ship by February, and I think the spin-along starts in March. So other than that, I am basically just spring 2024 is all about prepping for Maryland. So that's the only thing on my calendar. I'm kind of scaling back on shows this next year so that I can have some more time to work on stuff at home and, do things like have hand-dyed cotton and supported spindles in the shop, which have been
lacking.
Rarities lately.
But also you've got some other secret projects in the works.
Yes.
That we'll talk about
once
some
they're
other time.
a little bit firm.
A little bit more matured.
Yes.
Speaking of other little fun things you've been doing, we should talk about gummy bears.
Oh gosh.
So Jill and Gab went to Joann's and came back with a whole bunch of charms that Jill made into stitch markers for the family, for friends, for whatever. But there was a set of shiny metallic gummy bears, which I loved, but everybody wanted
them. The gummy bears.
So Jill went online, found a giant stash of
a pack of 152 resin gummy bear charms,
and started making stitch markers.
They are all turned into stitch markers and earrings now. So there's a bag of them, and at some point there will be gummy bear stitch markers up in the shop. Or at a show booth.
I feel like you should give them as rewards during your classes.
Oh, that would be a good thing. But not everybody knits.
Oh, true.
That's why you need to make me more 3D printed sheep.
Yeah. Yeah. With the phone holder sheep, which don't work as phone holders.
The floppy sheep.
Yeah, floppy sheep.
Floppy sheep.
Yeah. And Hollis is excited about the hand-dyed cotton.
Yes,
concept.
I have been woefully neglectful about getting hand-dyed cotton in the shop. I don't think I put any up this past year. I only had it at shows. and it basically sold out.
And I was going to say, you didn't even have that much at the shows either.
Right.
Yeah, you definitely gave me a big bet here.
This year has been a lot, and I've had a lot of transitions because I've moved HipStrings from being at home and a storage unit to a new commercial space. And even I've expanded that commercial space in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on with HipStrings, which has, and the focus has been doing prep for shows.
But we've got our heads above water now, and we're getting things a little bit more firm. So hopefully you guys will see the benefits of that soon. All right, I finished finally.
Yeah.
This is more akin to the time that we normally do
yes.
our podcast. So, I need to do my coloring first.
Yes, color in your bag.
Do you have my purple?
Yeah.
What'd you do with my purple? There's my purple. Thank you. I feel like I'm going to make everybody watch me color before I do my dad joke. And coloring requires a lot of concentration.
Well, yeah, you got outside the line.
Oh, come on.
So did I. It's cool.
Calling attention to that. I had a lot of fun designing this. I had a lot of fun designing all the bags.
I always give Nick a can you just do this really simple thing that'll be really easy for you to make these bags?
No.
And Nick's just like, no, must make it complicated and this multi-step process and pushing the limits of what we can do.
Day 2. All right. So did you, I know you know, but we're big IKEA fans, as you can tell with some of the furniture around here. Did you know that IKEA is starting to get into the legal realm? They're starting to have lawyers. You just have to build your own case. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I hope that wasn't an old joke. I had it in my notes.
I do not remember hearing that before. So.
All right. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks again.
Bye.